Draw near and be heard.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of September 6, 2017. Will the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission please come to order? For the benefit of those who have not participated in a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, our procedures are as follows. First, we'll read the legal call of the meeting as published in local newspapers. Second, the applicant will be invited to come forward and present the case, explaining to the commission and others present what is being requested of this property. Comments of town agencies will be read for each application, if there are any. Third, there will be clarifying questions from the commissioners. Fourth, then there will be an opportunity for clarifying questions from the audience. Fifth, any of those who wish to support the application may come forward, and then any of those who choose to oppose the application will be invited to come forward and express their opinion. As this public hearing must be recorded, it is necessary for speakers to identify themselves and state their name and address before addressing the commission. Six, the applicant is then free to leave or remain for the balance of the public hearing and the regular meeting, at which time the commission will try to reach a decision on each application. Each applicant will be notified in writing as to the decision of the commission and has a right to appeal to the Superior Court if desired. Seventh, decisions of this meeting are available the day after the meeting by calling the Planning and Zoning Office, 453-8039 after 9 a.m. Seated are the following members: Richard Wallace to my right, I'm Josh Hirschman, Alan Brown, Rich Myers, Phil Johnson, Matthew Yorzinski, and the staff present is Reggie Reed, George Carl, Lisa Brewer, and Peter Schultz is the videographer. Will the secretary please read the legal notice?
Notice is hereby given that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on September 6, 2017 at 7:30 p.m. Location being the Nathaniel B. Green Community Center, 32 Church Street, Guilford, Connecticut, in the Monunketuck Room on the second floor for the following purposes: Sear Real Estate, LLC, 129 Water Street, special permit, change of use of space formerly used as artist studio to real estate office, map 32, lot 17, zone R3, section 273-13, subsection C, article 10. Guilford Housing Authority Incorporated, Guilford Court, 32 Guilford Court, map 53, lot 18A, zone R1, special permit and site plan revision, adding 17 parking spaces, a 4-foot fence, and relocate dumpster. Table 4, line 10, articles 9 and 10. Scott McDowell, 55 Seaside Avenue, map 29, lot 6, zone R3, coastal area management application for placement of a pre-built 12 by 20 foot storage shed on a gravel base, section 273-19. Copies of these applications are available for inspection at the office of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Town Hall South, 50 Boston Street, Guilford, Connecticut. At this hearing, persons may attend and be heard, and written communication will be received. Dated this 16th day of August, 2017, Frank D'Andrea, Chairman.
Two things of clarification. If anyone's here for Dino Esposito's Augers application that has been withdrawn, and also which has been withdrawn, will be our deliberation of the 66 High Street. So, I guess so. So if anyone's here for either of those two, we're not going to be taking those up today. So first up is CYR Real Estate, LLC.
Use the microphone right there.
Even better.
Hi, my name is Liberato Pelosi from 154 Laurel Hill Road in Branford, Connecticut, and I'm the landlord at 125 Water Street in Guilford, and we're looking to rent the office space, the existing office space that is in the building. We're not making any changes to the interior, like rooms or bathrooms, and the outside's going to stay the same. It's a non-conformity, so we have to go through the zoning process. The only thing that we're looking to do is she like to put up a sign on the front, a 3x3 sign on the front and on the side. No lights or nothing like that. So that would probably be like the only change that we're making In the existing sign, there's a space on the bottom that she'll put her name on. And then she'll be able to tell you a little bit about her business.
Hi, Tricia Sear from Sear Real Estate, and I own a small company. I have 2 agents, and I'm looking to be in the center of town. I'd like to rent the office.
There are a few letters in here. I'll read this one. It's dated yesterday, September 5th. It's from Kevin McGee, the environmental planner. The applicant is, this is not the right one.
No.
Okay, there's
Right
only
here.
one letter in here. All right, go ahead then.
I got it.
Okay, whoever.
The applicant proposed change in use from an artist studio to a real estate office will not impact upon the operation or the location of the existing septic system.
That's good news.
Thank you, Dennis.
That's
Did
from
you
Kevin
guys
Johnson.
have a copy of this? Do you-
Dennis Johnson. Dennis is always on top of it.
Couple of questions. This is for Reggie. Parking is going to be no issue on this?
No.
For agents and whatever, 2 agents, I guess.
Yes, we're on the road mostly, too.
Just let me clarify, there's parking in front of the
Yeah.
building, there's also parking on the side of the building, toward
Correct.
the back.
I'm going to try to have the employees park in the back, because the other part is the floor tour. Yeah, but hopefully, they won't be arguing about the parking.
Could you explain where this building is for those people that don't know, and also describe the interior premises that this use will occupy?
Yeah, it's 125 Water Street, on the corner of River and Water Street. It used to be the old Leeds Conveyor Building. It's a yellow building, a block from the post office. The inside has it's a separate entrance that used to be existing office space when it was the Leeds Conveyor. So like there's 3 rooms downstairs, 2 bathrooms, 2 rooms upstairs. She's renting the whole downstairs. There's separate utilities for it, and no changes to the walls and things like that. No changes like to the amount of bathrooms or nothing like that. So it's just like the existing space, and she's not looking to put a kitchen or not. I guess she's.
How many square feet do you think it is?
The first floor is 1,000 square feet. Yeah, it's 1,000 square feet. On the first floor, she'd be renting 1,000 square feet. The second floor is, I think, 700. So if she rented up and down, would it be 17? But she's not renting upstairs, not yet. Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
Is the sign all fine, Rich, in terms of,
We didn't do a sign, any
You
sign.
don't have a sign application.
Yeah, we didn't do like an approval for the style. We were just asking if we can get permission to put a sign of that size, 3 feet by 3 feet in the front, approximately. Then she understands that she has to go to the sign review board, I guess, to get it approved if they, She's looking for like a logo sign, so it'll be like, they know it's hers.
Lee, how much signage is there currently? Do you know?
Well, the one that's on the corner is it's a 4 by 4, double-sided. And I'm not sure about the PN signs on top. I can measure though and find out.
Does it say on the application how?
No, I should have had that, I'm sorry.
In order for the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve that, you have to tell them how many square feet of signage you are asking for. And you said 3 square feet for the freestanding sign?
Yeah, on one side.
She had 3 by 3.
We're going to have a second public hearing on this, so
And
we could approve.
3 feet on the side of the building?
One's gonna be in the front, we're thinking between the 2 windows, but I mean, we're not even sure if she's gonna put the one in the front, on the side that comes, so you can see it from coming down Water Street. And then what I was thinking about doing, I mean, I'll get the exact footage for you. What we're thinking about doing is like, if Sear Realty does move out to a new, a larger space someday, we're willing to take that sign away. Like, we don't want that square footage added to like the permission forever.
At the next meeting, could you have the sign, Patricia?
Right, yes, it will.
And will this sign be internally illuminated?
No lights.
No lights?
No lights, yeah.
And the hours of operation of the office?
9 to 5 during the week, and then Saturdays, probably 10 to 5.
Yeah, she put down.
10 to 2?
9 to 5, 10 to 2, and then Sunday by appointment. And you can tell her how you operate now, maybe. Like out of your home and it's only.
Yes, I work out of my house presently, so I'm just looking for a larger space. Like I said, I have 2 other girls that work with me. And I work mostly on the road, but we do work by appointment, so.
Will you have anything in the window, like those TVs that have the loop of all the properties you're offering for sale?
I haven't really thought about that, but no, I wasn't planning to, I don't know.
Permitted anyway, wouldn't it?
It's not a sign outside the building.
Well, this is different because it is a residential zone. It's not commercially zoned, so you need to consider that too. The same thing with the signage. They can have more signage, but the commission has to approve it, and they can't exceed the signage that would be ordinarily allowed in the a commercial zone.
I guess we have to come to the next meeting and do it right. If the signage is an issue, we're willing to keep that out.
I
But-
don't think it's an issue, but we need to
Yeah, I understand.
get it approved.
So we're gonna get you footage and some pictures of what you
Right,
want to do.
which was about 9 square feet, right?
Good for right now. Let's move it along.
Are there any questions from the audience? Is there anyone that likes to speak in favor of it? Or against? First in favor? So, just so you know, there is going to be a second public hearing on this? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sure.
Good evening. My name's John Casey. I'm an attorney with Robinson & Cole, and I represent Bob and Elizabeth Jelly, who live across the street at 134 Water Street. And you may be wondering why, they hired an attorney to come for an application like this. But I've been working for the Jellies since this first came up almost 10 years ago when a second non-conforming use was proposed for this building. And over the years, there's been different levels of intensity. For this application, the Jellies don't have an objection. They're not objecting. It's a change of use from one pretty low intensive use to another intensive use. But we just want to remind some of the members here, maybe new, or this is now, I think, the 4th different application for this property over the years. And the Jellies, it being a residential neighborhood, they want to see it, the nonconformity stay as low intensity as possible. So to a certain extent, I'm just here to remind the board that your regulations, encourage getting rid of nonconformities. This is just a change from one to another. So as I said, we're not really objecting to it, but we just like you to keep in mind to put proper restrictions on it. So the applicant has suggested hours of operations, and we would ask that you put that as a condition of approval. This is replacing an existing non-conforming use, the artist studio, and that permit expires December 1st of 2019, and we would ask that you just maintain that expiration date, because in each of these over the years, there's always been an expiration date so that the commission can revisit it and see if it's having a second non-conforming use in a residential zone is a problem or not. And we think that's an appropriate sort of measure in a situation like this. The other thing is, you mentioned the signs. The Jellies aren't opposed to signs. They would be opposed if they were illuminated. So we'd hope that the signage can be brought back and just shown and be clear that it's not going to be illuminated because, as Reggie said, it is in a residential zone. I think those are the main concerns or points we wanted to make. I mean, it is a unique situation. It does have a lot of history. There's a lot of special permits recorded on the land records for this property. We would see this as just a different, you'd have to file a new, if it's approved, a new special permit, and we just hope that the commission will continue, as it has in the past, putting proper, safeguards and restrictions on it so that the neighbors, can feel comfortable that the use isn't going to expand dramatically over the years. So.
You heard something on the time frames. Were you comfortable with those hours of operation?
Yeah, we are, and those are similar to, actually I look back, they were similar to when it was a music school. There was really no hours of operations on the artist studio. There's been 2 different artist studios, one in the back and there was the one in the front that's being replaced now. But those hours are very similar to when it was a music school, and those worked out fine.
Generally, it's kind of a de-intensification of use in general for that building over the years, though. I mean, it was a conveyor belt factory.
Right.
And then it was, a music studio that you said, it's an artist studio, and now, I mean, even less in my mind would be a real estate office. So it's kind of moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think the Jellies agree with that it's moving in the right directions. They don't want to see it go back. There was actually a point, like I said, I've been doing this a while. At one point, a condition of one of the special permits was that you couldn't have a real estate office there because they were concerned about cars coming in and going out. That's not a concern now with this operation. And actually, I didn't say, but if I think the Jellies are happy that the number of employees is low, that's going to keep the number of cars down. Because at one point it was approved as a Wells Fargo mortgage office, and so it was allowed as a business office, but that approval said no real estate offices. But that permit's now expired. You have a new application before you, and I won't beat the dead horse. So that's we're not opposed.
Next week, or 2 weeks from now. Very exciting.
Mr. Jelly has it.
All I was going to say was that there are a lot of former industrial buildings around downtown Guilford that have been changed into housing. That's really not a possibility with the car barn across the street. The building, the way it is built, it's a reinforced, a very early reinforced concrete building that doesn't permit expansion upward. And even though the building seems relatively high, when you figure the level that you'd have to be at for the first floor to avoid flooding, there really isn't room for 2 living floors in the building. So the building doesn't convert into housing, and therefore it really has to stay as kind of a mildly commercial use in order to be practical.
Can you just state your name and address for the record?
It's Robert Jelly, 134 Water Street.
Thank you.
That's all.
Okay.
Pelosi, could you identify a little bit more carefully on one of these drawings exactly what space we're referring to? You don't have to do that now, but before the next hearing, I noticed in the application it doesn't show clearly what space is that we're actually talking about here. So if you could do that in a little sketch of some kind, that would be helpful.
Square footage and all that.
Sign design
Pictures.
and the exact square footage, yes.
Okay.
Are there any other comments tonight? In favor or against? All right, so can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to continue this to the next meeting.
Second.
That would be the 20th of September.
All in favor? Great. Guilford Housing Authority.
My name is Joe Wren, a professional engineer representing the applicant, who in this case is the Guilford Housing Authority. With us in the back row is Angela Ross, who's the executive director, and Terry Revizza, who is the assistant director, in case there are any questions related to the actual use of the property. And Angela may want to say a few words after I'm done with my spiel. I'll bring this a little closer to you. The purpose of this project is to add.
Can you actually speak into the microphone, though? I know you're trying to
Sure.
do us a favor.
Can I take it off of here and come closer? The whole stand? Okay.
Wait, yeah, let's, I'm sorry.
Back here?
Yeah, that's
I was just trying to make it so you can sit. Okay.
Not just you, but the drawing.
No problem.
Thank you. Perfect.
I'm always trying to bring it closer because everybody's like, I can't really see that from there, but okay. Want me to start over? Okay, thank you. So the purpose of this project is to add some parking spaces. This is Guilford Housing Authority. It's 32 Guilford Court. It's an existing developed site. Many of you are familiar with it. We have a site location plan on here if you're not familiar. There's an existing buildings, network of sidewalks, driveway in off of North Street. On the eastern side, there is currently a row of parking spaces. And the purpose of this plan is just to add a second row of parking spaces. They're in need, desperate need of additional parking spaces here. This plan will standardize the handicap spaces that are there to current dimensional requirements and signage requirements, and will also add 16 spaces, total spaces to the site with very minor interruption of additional impervious surface. The application may have said 17, but with all the exact dimensional requirements and so forth, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 regular spaces, and then 3 handicaps. So it is 18 spaces for a total of, should be a total of 36 spaces.
Is that a problem? Okay.
Yeah, the reason for that is because this island where this proposed tree is, there was a parking space there before, and now coming in, having the access driveway come in here, initially this row was the aisle, and this is the parking. If you look closely on the plan, you can see the existing striping. So currently, if you follow the lighter lines in the plan, this is the access aisle, and then these are the spaces. So now we're essentially trying to shift that up to create a row of parking spaces along this edge and remove the parking spaces that are there, and that will become the 24-foot wide aisle, and then add another row of parking spaces along that north side. So in doing that, trying to shift that up and match the access drives, we actually lose one of the existing spaces here for that curve. This one would be too tight to get in and out of, so we lose one there. And that's the reason for that difference. There's an existing dumpster with an enclosure at the end of the existing access, so now that would be next to a parking space, so it won't be a good location for that. So that is also moved. There's a turnaround, a 5-foot deep or 10-foot deep turnaround space there, and then the dumpster would be relocated there with an enclosure surround around that.
Did we hear something about the dumpster?
No, that was at Boston Terrace. It's different.
Location.
Yes.
Is this dumpster going to be any closer than any neighbor's homes?
It's actually further away.
Good.
The closest property lines, residential properties are here. You can see these 4 properties here. The dumpster is very close to those properties now. Now it will be another, say, at least 1 parking space length further away from that. The Housing Authority did reach out to these neighbors in good faith prior to the letters that had to be sent for this public hearing process, just to alert them of what is happening and get any input they might have. And they did ask for a fence, which is added to this plan. We show it on the site plan, and we also include a detail. It's a solid PVC fence, but it appears like wood grain. They've used it. This picture is actually at another location where they currently have it. This is a 6-foot tall fence. On this site, they're proposing a 4-foot tall fence. So there's not a really large, tall barrier between, but enough to shield the vehicles and any headlights that may be coming into the properties. Because right now, this is an access aisle, so cars come in and then swing towards the buildings and back out and go this way. So now cars may be pulling in straight to this area. So in order to shield those headlights, there is a 4-foot high fence proposed. There is a lot of landscaping in that area too, and all that landscaping is proposed to remain as is, and the fence will be in addition to that landscaping. With that, of course, we did go to the Design Review Board back on August 9th. We had to discuss the fence and the parking and so forth, and we did receive a positive referral from them to you. I'm not sure if you have anything in your packet on that. As you know, we did submit 2 applications. There's a site plan application and a special permit application. So we do have public hearings scheduled for this week and then 2 weeks from now. There are 2 waivers associated with this application. One is in your packet already, and it's for a waiver of the fees. Since Guilford Housing Authority is a nonprofit agency, there was a request of the application fees. So that is in your packet for your consideration. And the second waiver is based on a letter that we received from Kevin McGee, a couple of very minor comments that we have already addressed and collaborated with him on. And I will go over that letter in a moment. Before I do that, I did bring 4 sets of revised plans and a waiver request letter for the drainage section, so I'll go over based on his letter. I know one's for the record, and then you can share the other screen. The plans that I'm passing out are essentially the same as this. They just incorporate Mr. McGee's comments to be complete. I can, or you can, or go through it.
It's dated September 5th. The applicant is proposing to increase the paved parking area by 2,550 square feet. The applicant has composed a checklist to guide low-impact development best management practices and is not utilizing any of the recommended practices. The increase in parking area will change the existing impervious coverage from 35.7 to 37%. The impervious surface coverage is below 40%, maximum requirement for the similar activities in the mixed-use zones. The Town of Guilford Zoning Code, Section 273-75F drainage requirements requires that all site plan applications, special permit applications, and coastal site plan applications to provide a stormwater management plan to be incorporated in the planning, design, construction, and maintenance of the development proposals, redevelopment proposals, and other activities that change the land surface and alter the hydraulic conditions, resulting in pollution and adverse impacts to the surface water, groundwater, and other natural resources of the Town of Guilford. Upon written request, the Commission may grant an exemption from this section when the activity will disrupt less than 1 total acre of land surface. In order to make sure that the natural resources are protected, I recommend the following conditions of approval. First, the Town of Guilford zoning enforcement officer should be notified to inspect the sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to any site construction. So you have, you're giving us written request from exemption of the, of your plan, your plan, your drainage plan, right?
Yeah, so in that, what I just passed out, there's a letter with our letterhead, and that request, this is very short, I might as well just read this quickly too, addressed to you, of course. The applicant requests an exemption of zoning regulations section 273-75 subsection F, the drainage section per zoning regulation section 273-75 FC1. The existing site is developed and the proposed work will disturb less than a 1/4 acre of land surface area, which is much less than the 1 acre maximum allowed for this exemption. Per the recommendation of the town's environmental planner, the impervious coverages were estimated and provided as part of our application. What I just handed out to you as well, I handed out this sheet here, which shows all the impervious surfaces on the total site, all the roof areas, sidewalks, whether sidewalks count or not, and driveways and parking areas. And that total will increase slightly from 35.7% to 37.0%, and that adds 0.06 acres, or that 2,550 square feet, as Kevin mentioned. And then we also incorporate his comments regarding E&S controls. So we did that. This was more for Kevin McGee, just asked us what the total site impervious was to see if we were consistent with the regulation. And in fact, we are below the 40% required.
Why are you asking for the exemption, though?
It's a very small area of impervious, and the stormwater management plan is generally geared towards much larger projects with much more impervious area that would change the drainage patterns or general hydrology of the area. The area, this 2,550 square feet or .06 acres that we're changing is currently grass with some sidewalk, and we're just turning that into asphalt. So we are making that impervious, but it is such a small amount that it will not change the amount of flow that goes to the catch basins and in the pipes and out by any measurable difference at all.
If you were to comply with the regulations, you would have to construct some kind of retention or impoundment area, which would add significantly to the cost of the development, which, of course, the Housing Authority being an agency trying to keep costs as minimal as possible, to keep rents as low as possible. I'm sure that's also an important part of the consideration here.
It is, and thank you for that addition. There also is a large leaching field for the septic system in this area, so any underground stormwater detention facilities can't be located within close proximity of an underground subsurface sewage disposal system. And any, obviously, surface detention basin, it would probably have to be underground because of the flat elevations out here, but any surface detention basin, if it were to be designed, again, has to be separated from that and is not something that you generally want on a facility like this with open water. Exactly.
So can I ask where currently, if there's no retention on the property at all, where does the rainfall go?
It's all collected in a drainage system that shows on the plan. There are existing catch basins that show and the existing pipes show, and it heads towards North Street, towards the system in North Street. It's all directed in that direction. If you follow all the catch basins that are located on the survey and the pipes, they all go out to two catch basins right at the intersection of North Street and Guilford Court. And they connect into a drainage system in North Street and go on. I'm not sure where that, where that dumps into.
Well, East River goes back down North Street toward the Route 77.
Right.
Yeah, no, it doesn't come up. You'd be going uphill going to north to the Mill Pond.
So,
I
is
have-
that why Captain McGee is recommending the erosion and siltation measures, because it goes somewhere?
Well, we added, whenever there are open drains and you're doing some excavation and maybe stockpiling materials, the project won't take very long. It's essentially like paving a driveway, more or less. That strip of land is 16 or 17 feet wide and 180 feet long, I believe, is the dimension. So it's kind of like a residential driveway. It's not a lot of impervious area. But it does slope from the east to the west. In this direction, there is a catch basin in the center, an existing one. And there's also another catch basin here that we've now made in the corner of the new parking lot. So those two will capture the drainage as they do now. There'll just be a minuscule amount more from that.
What percentage of increase is this going to be for that parking lot which drains towards 77? This, I realize that it's .06 acres, but in relation to how much land is already covered with parking lot, and now you're going to add this, how much do you think would be percentage-wise an increase?
Probably immeasurable. Less than 1%.
I have another question. How did we arrive at 16? Maybe that's for the ladies in the back.
Well, we're actually, if you look back at general note number 5, we're actually going from 19 today to 35, so we're adding 16. And that's a function of what I talked about before, about the access road and having to eliminate one but add additional ones. And then also making the current handicap spaces, there are 4 of them, and we're proposing 3, but there are way more. There's 4 right over here on the left side too, so they're way more than what's required. So we meet that ADA criteria for that, but the aisle widths currently are shared, and they're not dimensionally correct for what ADA currently requires. So these meet the current ADA.
I live in the general area. I noticed cars parked in the access road. And believe me, I know fire departments down there quite a bit.
So this will alleviate that.
I can comment with Bill, and I'd like me to. I'm Angela Ross, I'm the executive director.
When this was built in the 70s, there was not the same requirements as there are today. I think it's 1.5 spaces per unit. We have 0.83 spaces per unit right now, and we have many, many more drivers. And, you know, people are living longer, they're driving longer, and we're very concerned for the safety of our residents also, because they are having to, sometimes they can't find parking spaces and they're going over to the learning center, or they're going off site and trying to walk back to their apartments. And this appeared to be the best and most affordable alternative. And having that many parking spaces would make a huge, huge impact.
Since I got you here, quick question. Capacity, if the dumpster capacity will remain the same?
Oh, yeah, none of that's going to change. The only thing that's changing is that we're getting more parking spaces, and that's what we need.
Can you just say again, how many spaces are on the top row and how many spaces are on the bottom row?
Yes, we can count those out, but just from an overall standpoint, if you look at general note number 5, you'll see that the existing one has 19 and we're going to 35, so for a difference of 16. So on the top, I believe we counted 18 before, but we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 standard spaces plus 3 handicap. So they're 18. So then if I counted those, it'd probably be 17 for the total of 33.
Okay, we got a letter from the, a letter going to the Planning and Zoning. Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, September 5th, 2017, Guilford Housing Authority, Guilford Court, 32, Guilford Court, map 53, lot 18A. The application's proposed parking lot extension will not conflict with the location or function of the existing septic system. Do you have that letter?
Yes, I did see that letter, thank you. Just a couple more quick points I wanted to make before we move on is that we talked about the parking and the dumpster enclosure. There is existing lighting out there, and that's not proposed to be changed. Right along the line there are a couple, there are, I believe, 2 fixtures, 2 pole fixtures, and those will not be changing. There will be that fence added, and the existing landscape, the trees that are there will remain. There's a note that we show the fence on here in a straight line, but if they need to adjust it slightly to get around any roots or trees, that they do that rather than taking the tree or the shrub out. So we'll have that buffer supplement. And then, of course, we talked about the solid fence 4 feet high.
All right. Are there any questions from the audience? Okay, questions first, and then we'll go to comments.
Kind of a comment.
Well, yeah, come up here and just state your name.
All right, this is good.
Hi, John Rogers, 111 North Street.
And Colleen Thomas, same address. Here we are.
Yeah, just a quick question, and this concerns the fence. We did speak with several of our neighbors concerning the fence, and what we had all thought was that a 6-foot fence we thought would work better than a 4-foot fence. Not only are we concerned about lights shining into our backyards, kitchens, but also about increased noise from cars parking in there. We thought that a higher fence would help block out the increased noise. And just for myself personally, I am happy that the dumpster is being moved because you can hear it. And you can hear them going out in the morning and dumping trash. So, and that just shows you how well the sound does carry. I know you said you lived in the area, so that's all I have.
No, we had the same comments and concerns. I think the 4 neighbors along this side where the proposed changes will be made, we just all kind of had the same feeling. We came here to represent our neighbors who weren't able to come tonight, but I think we just wanted to know a little bit more about the project and a little bit more about what the plans for the fence specifically were, and especially in regards to your former comments related to the trees, what the fence would look like, because we do know that the property lines are not quite consistent across that backside. So we just came to find a little information out. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, can I ask you,
representing the neighbors, do you all want a 6-foot fence?
Well, that's not true. We know that 3 of the 4 of us do, and the 4th neighbor has not spoken with us yet, so that would be a simple question.
You want a 6-foot fence?
We would like a 6-foot fence, yes.
Okay. And you'd be okay with the rest of the application going through if it had a,
Yeah, I have no problems. We have no.
We'd just like to know a little bit more about the fence, and then if post holes need to be dug for the fence, like I said, what that looks like in terms of the roots of the trees, and do we have to maintain trees? So that was the question we had. It'd be great to get more parking for everyone.
And the other concern I did have, though, was, I believe this had come up, was the amount of fire department visits, just ensuring that there is area with the increase of parking spaces and more vehicles, that the fire departments, because as it is now, they end up having to park their trucks all along North Street, which isn't a very wide street to begin with. So ensuring that there is an area that the fire department is able to get their trucks into with this increased parking.
I'm not sure.
Maybe we could get comments for the next meeting.
They get copies of
Well,
all
we
the
had-
applications.
Yeah, they could copy. Did we, I can't remember if we discussed this in our staff meeting or not with them. Were they at that meeting? Anyway, we'll find out. Yeah.
So what's your position on the 4-foot versus 6-foot fence?
Housing Authority is not opposed. They didn't receive any direct, because like I said, they sent 2 rounds of letters. They sent one just in good faith on their own before this application process, and then the one that's required for, they actually had to send 80-something letters out to abutters because it's a large property. And they didn't receive any comment back saying, please add the 6-foot fence. But certainly if that's what we're hearing tonight, the Housing Authority said they wouldn't be opposed to that. Sometimes we like to, I know that when we did Women and Family Life Center, we use a shorter fence just to soften it so you don't really have a tall barrier in between, but if that's what's requested and as a condition, it wouldn't be a problem. As far as the fire department, I think some of the reason that the fire department probably has to park on North Street is if there's people parked in this access driveway. So if there's more parking available and people aren't parking along that access driveway and they're able to park more on site, then it opens up more room for fire vehicles to access the site.
You guys have a pretty good understanding of how many spots you actually need at your site. I mean, is this 39 spots going to completely eliminate the parking issue, or?
It increases it from .83 per unit to .123 or 123, more like 1.25 spaces.
And is that about enough for?
I mean, I feel this will solve a problem for many, many years, if not forever. That's why I was kind of go big or go home.
Yeah, they haven't relayed to me that there's more than 16 cars, right, trying to park along the side. The times I've been there might be 2 or 3 parked in random locations because it's full or somewhat full.
Do you regulate are there parking stickers, or if you're a resident, you can have as many?
They have parking stickers if they are resident, and that allows them to park on wherever they want, both sides. And then, so there's, one side is for visitors and the residents can park anywhere. So that's how, there's not assigned spaces.
So do you know how many parking, just, not that it matters, but how many parking stickers are issued out now? I mean,
37.
it's honestly not that critical a question, I was just curious.
There is additional parking here as well. Yep. On the left side. This is existing, and that's to remain unchanged. I don't know what the exact count is there, but adding the 16 the intent is to get people from parking in random areas.
At least, I would say at least 80% or more, yeah, drive. And then we have, we have 21 bedroom units, which can have 2 people living in them, and each person is allowed to have a registered and insured vehicle. So, there's a potential for 2 drivers in those units. So, it's quite a few cars, and right now, it's just not adequate.
Are there any other, yeah, go ahead.
My name is Nick Esposito. I own the property that's here. It's 236 Church Street. I'm also happy that there's more parking for the housing authority because some of the members that live here park in my driveway when there's no parking. And they walk across. There's I'm not 100% sure of my bearings here, but I believe my building is here. My parking lot is very long. It goes almost back to here, and then there's a small wooded area. There's no fence from this corner to the wooded area. Someone took it down, and it's an old chain link fence. A lot of trees have grown through it and broke it. So, like I said, I'm happy they're getting more parking because that'll alleviate that. But I'd also would like the 6-foot fence to turn the corner and come. It doesn't have to go all the way, but it should come to about here because I'm new to the area, and my wife has a business in the building. And what we notice is people come and they park here. If they live here, it's kind of a long walk. So they'll park here and they'll unload groceries over the fence. It's a 4-foot chain link fence. Or sometimes they just walk through the woods and come through here. So what I'd like to see is just the fence turn the corner and at least complete the fence. Actually, I do see it here, I think. The fence ends there, is that what I'm seeing?
Yes, that's fence is on your side.
Yeah. So this fence is, it's all broken and lots of trees growing through it. So people can, step through it here, but there's nothing from here to here, about 30 feet.
Angela, do you think that would be alleviated by having this additional parking on site? I mean, this additional parking on site is closer
Yeah,
than that.
they wouldn't have to do the things that they're doing. I mean, that's part of the problem. That's why they're parking in other people's parking lots and, parking in the access road. And that's why I worry about them. I think they should have parking, and I think it would, yeah.
And so if this neighbor is having an undue burden placed on him because the folks that live in their facility are parking on his property, would it be unreasonable if at this time they're going to have a fencing company there, if we were to ask that the fence get extended to protect his property? Because clearly, he's not here because he's being difficult. He's got a problem. He has property, and they're parking on it. Apparently, they knew about it. So, in as much as we're doing an upgrade right now, would it be unreasonable for us to ask to have the fence extended to protect his property?
I'll let Angela respond to that, but before she does it, that would probably almost double the amount of fence required, and we've already gone from 4 to 6. They obviously have a certain budget.
Right. Oh, I understand
because they're
that,
based
but
on
to have a neighbor
funding and grants.
To knowingly have residents park in a neighbor's property, that's not really what the Guilford Housing Authority wants.
And also, to add to that, it's also for these residents here. I've become friendly with a couple of people that live right here, and we're open till 10 o'clock at night. And when our clients come in, when I come in, I turn my headlights off before I park this way, but our clients don't. And sometimes they sit in their car with the headlights on, so it's shining right through the chain link fence into these people's windows.
Well,
So
you have a bigger issue. If these folks are using your property and parking on it and they get injured,
Well, it's not often, but
if they get injured, slip and fall, that's on you.
yeah, there are a few. There's an elderly gentleman I've tried to talk to, and he's, my next step is to.
Do you know who currently owns that fence? Is it on your property or is it on the Guilford Housing Authority property?
This is a portion of an A2 survey, and it shows that it's just on the 236 Church Street property. If you look closely on the plan, you can see the line.
I think that maybe, we have a whole nother public hearing on this, but I can imagine that this is more a punitive nature than this is sort of fixing the problem of the application. Obviously you have a concern that they're parking on your property, but I think the intent of this application is to completely eliminate that, and we can't we're not going to, I mean, I'm going to speak for myself here, I'm not going to over-regulate sort of, if their parking lot was all facing towards your way and that's what it was, I'd say, yeah, sure, you need a fence that way, but it doesn't look like you're going to have any increased light directed towards you from the application that's being presented tonight. Yeah, so well, two things. First, we don't know who owns your fence or their fence, and whoever owns that fence, the fence should be maintained properly anyway. And second, I think doubling the length of the fence for an application to put in 18 parking spots might be a little excessive, but that's just, my opinion, and we've got
My concern
six
is,
people here.
now that it's part of the public record, if one of their residents gets injured on his property, they had prior knowledge that they're using his property, that ties the town into some sort of
I don't think that
liability
would
issue.
tie the town at all. It might tie everyone else into liability, but we're not.
As a compromise that I might offer is that we can put up a sign, and they could send out letters to the residents that we're adding 16 spaces with the intent no one uses any surrounding properties to park and walk over to this property. I don't know if there's any way you can monitor that or find someone if they break the rule or whatever. But if it is a constant problem in the future, then as a condition, if the zoning enforcement officer sees a problem in the future, then she can ask for a fence at some point in the future. Because we don't think, with this added parking, we don't feel that will any longer be necessary. If their space is open here with sidewalks, why would someone park here, walk over a fence and over a lawn, instead of park here and walk straight in on a sidewalk? It doesn't make sense anymore. If this is all full and they can't park here and they have to carry their groceries from here all the way up here, then I could see why they would be doing that.
So, I mean, are you concerned at all about this application that's right in front of you for light or noise or anything like that relating to your property, the way the parking is set up?
No, I mean, I'm a contractor. A fence is not a lot of money. And just to complete the fence from here to here, I don't really think is a lot to ask, and that's just my opinion.
And I don't necessarily disagree with you, but maybe that's a conversation that you want to have with the other thing, maybe the shared cost, maybe you could figure out something if everyone's there. I don't know, but I don't know if that's something that we're going to do. But come back to the next meeting and state your case again and see what happens.
Even 5 or 10,000 added to this project is a lot for them, being a nonprofit.
I mean, I personally, I'm leaning towards saying it should be there. And I know Josh, we're on equal footing here. He can have his opinion, I can have mine. But if we have prior knowledge that the residents are using his property for parking and bringing groceries in, and it's going to be icy and snowy, and as a property owner, I wouldn't want people using my property for that.
But as a property owner, you also can put up a fence on your property as well.
I could, but we have an application before us, and you have a fence contractor coming.
And there was a fence there that was been taken down. You can see the posts were there. The chain link has been removed, someone's doing it.
Property is on, and we can have a further.
Well, the chain link is on 236. The portion that's shown on this plan is on 236 on that A2 line. But we're not here to argue, we're just here
I was just
to
going to say,
do what's right.
I've been here 20 years, and I don't know anything about chain fence being removed.
Well, I don't know either, but I just purchased the property. I'm not saying it was done last week or 2 years ago, but you could see there was a fence there at one time, and it's gone. And
Mr. Esposito, do
Yes.
you have the float center?
yes,
Okay, so you have customers that come in
yeah, we're open.
when they're not working?
Right, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
I mean, I would recommend having a conversation after the fact and come back at the next public hearing. Are there any other comments about this application right now or concerns? Okay, do you have anything else you'd like to add? All right, can I get a motion to continue?
Motion to continue?
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Scott McDowell, 55
Thank you for your patience.
Seaview.
Hey, Scott, what do you got? There's a letter.
That was a good one. You read.
I want to read, I love the letters.
I'll read Kevin's.
I want Dennis to borrow his easel.
I know, I didn't know, I came in prepared. Bad teacher.
Can you guys just take it outside?
Hey, take it outside, huh?
Take it outside, please.
Fight. This bar.
Just part
Still
of
a
the
meeting
stress.
going on.
The good news is no one's here to object.
I feel a little less important.
We'll make you put a fence up around it.
What do you have for us?
All right, my name is Scott McDowell, 55 Seaside Avenue. Just moved here a little while ago, and nice small house, we love it, but we're coming from a little bigger house. And our problem is we just need to get a little storage. We have a crawl space underneath the house, and we really would like to. So the outline of the blue is the house. There's a deck in the back, so I can show you from the street. So this is Seaside Avenue. This is the house, is a deck. This is the existing driveway, and we're going to put the shed here. The shed is not going to have a garage door. It's going to have just an open door that's going to face the house. It's going to have a storage area, just little eaves up on top to put some things. We're talking about off-season clothing. We're talking about decorations, things like that we have from our other house. And that's basically what is, tools and things like that. But no cars, no nothing like that in there.
There are a bunch of letters in here. We're going to read some letters.
Okay.
We love doing
I
it.
have one.
You got one?
We all got one. Mine's the
This
best.
is the Planning and Zoning from Dennis Johnson, Director of Public Health, September 5th, 2017. McDowell Scott, 55 Seaview Ave, map 29, lot 16. The applicant's proposed storage shed will not conflict with the operation or location of the septic system currently existing on site.
All right, and there's another one here from Kevin McGee, the environmental planner, stated yesterday. Did you happen to see? Okay. The applicant is proposing to install a 12 by 20 foot storage building on a gravel base installed in a FEMA flood zone AE elevation 12. The site plan does not provide for any installation of erosion and sedimentation control measures to protect the adjacent coastal resources. The work being conducted could impact the adjacent coastal resources if the work is conducted during a rainy day or soil stockpiles are left for an extended period of time. In order to make sure the coastal resources are protected during and after the construction process, I recommend the following conditions of approval. First, any material removed for the installation of the shed should be disposed of off-site or be properly protected with soil erosion and sedimentation control measures until vegetation is established or suitable material is installed to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer. And second, an 18-inch wide by 18-inch deep stone filtration trench should be installed around the perimeter of the shed. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. No, I get it.
Okay.
No, they're building an elevated one.
Do you have any problems with either of those conditions?
The only thing, the owners previous to us did soil testing, and they did digging. So one of the things I was going to use the soil for to keep it on property, there's a bunch of dips, and there's pipes in there. So I was going to use the soil to fill in the holes.
Yeah, that's fine, you just don't leave any of the material piled up.
Oh, absolutely not. It's going to be, like I said, there are holes and stuff there. No.
I got a letter too, and mine is the best letter. So in the letter competition, I'm going to win. This is addressed to the Planning and Zoning Commission about coastal site plan review for a 12 by 20 storage shed, 55 Seaside Avenue, Scott McDowell, applicant. Dear Commissioners, thank you for referring this coastal site plan review request received August the 14th for us to review and comment. And this is from the state, DEEP. And it says that the applicant proposes to place a 12 by 20 storage area shed on the property more than 70 feet from the coastal review and tidal wetlands. The site hosts a flood zone, AE12, and the shed is within this flood zone. No elevations have been submitted, so we will assume that the shed is not proposed to be elevated above the base flood elevation, but installed at grade on a gravel base. If this is the case, the shed must be anchored sufficiently so that it does not float away in case of a flood. Additionally, flood vents must be installed in the structure so that floodwaters can flow in and out freely. Despite the location of the storage shed indicated on the site plan, the shed is located away from the existing house and meets the side yard requirements according to town officials. Coastal resources present on the site include coastal hazard AE12 and tidal wetlands. Conclusion, we hope that these comments are helpful to the Commission. pursuant to CGS Section 23A-110. We request that these comments be read into the record of the public hearing for this application. If we can be of further assistance to you on this or any other coastal management or Long Island Sound-related matter, please feel free to contact me at 860-424-3138. Sincerely, Carol Szymanski, Environmental Analyst 2, Office of the Long Island Sound Programs, Bureau of Water Protection and Land Reuse. I have a copy of this letter if you'd like it. Sure. There you go. I'm going to give it to you right now. You want to give me yours?
Do you understand those?
This plan has 4 anchors,
Okay.
hurricane
There you go.
anchors in it. I mean, there's 2 openings and a 6-foot door. So as for the water to escape, I don't. Right, I mean, so that portion of it I think is covered with the existing plan. And those are the 2 concerns, correct?
Did she review the plan?
She reviewed the plan, and she's made these comments to us, so I think you're good.
I mean, we're planning it, the company that's installing the shed is going to do the base. So I just have to do the trench, that's going to be the extra, which is absolutely fine.
Well, we always seek out advice and guidance from people in the state, and so Carol has been kind enough to guide us here, so.
And thank you
It's
for
good.
coming before us and asking as opposed to just
Yeah,
doing.
it's unusual to get someone beforehand, so this is great. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Makes our life easier.
Are
Yeah.
there more?
Good.
Are there any other
happy.
questions?
I'm good.
I have no questions.
All right. Can I get a motion? Well, I'll move to close it. Well, there's no one in the audience, so I'm not going to ask anyone.
Yeah.
There's one person.
Okay, can anyone like to speak in favor, against? Any questions?
I think that maybe she wants to speak in favor.
Okay.
I am in favor, but I live there, so.
Great.
Well, there you go. We
Can
knew
I get
that
a
was
motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I make a motion that we approval of the revised agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
You don't like this part.
All in favor?
Well, and as much as we have a withdrawal, we can go right to deliberations on Mr. McDowell. Do you want to do that, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I guess, okay, go ahead.
Ordered that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a coastal area management application for Scott McDowell, 55 Seaview Avenue, map 29, lot 6, as shown on the application dated 8/14/17. The application is approved with the following conditions. Any material removed from the installation of the shed shall be disposed of off-site or be properly protected with soil erosion and sedimentation control measures until vegetation is established or suitable material is installed to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer. An 18-inch wide by 18-inch deep stone infiltration trench should be installed around the perimeter of the shed. And this application is approved based on the finding that it conforms with the zoning code and is consistent with the coastal area management policies of the state of Connecticut.
Second.
Any comments?
Well, the only thing is that, that motion speaks to removing it from site, but he's going to use it to level his property, which is in keeping with the intentions, I think, of the, maybe not the wording, but the intentions.
In the back, there's a lot of swell. I mean, literally when I drive the tractor, it's like I'm doing Baja. So,
What you maybe want to do is spread it out, but seed it right away so that, and what Kevin is worried about is, you're right on the marsh there. And if the soil or silt washes in, that's not a good thing. So stabilize it right away, and I'm sure that's really what his intentions are, and I'm sure those are your intentions
no,
too.
it's more of leveling, stuff like that, and whatever excess we'll get rid of.
Any other comments?
I'm good.
Okay.
I think the applicant addressed everything on the DEP letter also.
I agree.
DEEP.
Can I get a vote? All those in favor? All right.
Congratulations,
Anyone
sir.
opposed?
Thank you so much.
Good work.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Other, the Guilford Agriculture Society would like to sponsor an event at the Guilford Fairgrounds, the American Art Company Art Show, May 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2018. Are we doing motions for this, or are we just?
I have a concern. Discussion on
All
this.
right. Well, yeah, I'm just asking whether or not we need a motion and then a discussion. Oh, okay. I wasn't here at this last meeting.
About whether or not the American Art Company was a 501c3. But Mr. Lombard has addressed a little letter here to you, pointing out that the Agricultural Society, this is their event. They are the nonprofit. They're hiring American Art Company to do whatever it is they do. They're a for-profit business, but the event is an agricultural society event.
So what is this exactly that we're saying yes to? It's a 3-day art show?
Are they selling art?
Is it outdoor?
Is there auctions and auctioneers?
Let's see, what it says is an art show, tentatively scheduled May 4th through 6th. American Art Company would be handling this with us. The signature events have been at the Brooklyn Museum and the Hyatt Regency in Arlington, Virginia. They have been at Sarasota Fairgrounds for 10 years and inside the Brooklyn Museum for the past 5. The artists are jury selected and attract artists from around the country. So I guess it's like a show where you view the art, and perhaps it's for sale too, I'm not sure. And this is to benefit the Agricultural Society.
Which is a not-profit, so it's like a fundraising for.
Yeah, that's parallel.
So what's the difference between this and the medieval festival, which we stopped doing?
Because the Medieval Society they were conducting an event for their own use, renting the space from the fairgrounds. That's not the case here. This is the fairgrounds or the Ag Society's event. They've hired this vendor, the American Art Company, to, as he says, handle it.
So it's just like the Gilbert Fair, the Ag Society
Right, I mean,
will pay for a bunch of these
Right, the people who
performers to
operate
come out.
are for profit at the fair.
And I just have a baseline question, though. In our review of the Agricultural Society's events, is it, okay, it's a 501c3 application or not-for-profit, whatever sort of, and yet we have no sort of yes or no ability, or is it every single application that comes before us? Because I thought when we did this that it was just like they were doing us a favor by giving us a heads up as to what events are going to be there. And, okay, no, so we have like,
We have the final say.
we can say to no. Okay, all right.
They're actually in the process of trying to submit a new special permit application that'll clarify all this, because it's a real hassle for everybody. And to try to iron out, proper rules so they don't have to go through this process every time there is going to be an event. But they haven't done that yet. This falls into the category of them telling us what they want to do.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. If the Guilford Ag Society wanted to do a medieval festival and hire them to come do it, it then falls under, doesn't that sound a little slippery? in terms of the
So
flow?
really, this doesn't have any time limits. This could be one of those 24 hours music into the night. I mean, it's not, obviously not going to be.
You can put whatever conditions you want to on it.
I think if we were going to put conditions on it, we should have them come in and explain to us what it is. So
This is
if,
sketchy.
We don't have that yet.
all right, so why don't we table it again?
Yeah.
And we'll
Make a
have,
motion to table it.
I'll make a motion to
let me just make one comment. If they need to get it done, they better come quick, because we're in September, and November would be the 6-month cutoff for this.
Yeah.
what? What, 6 months for what?
They're supposed to notify us 6 months and approve.
Yeah, we could use more information, and I'm sure they want to provide.
George, or they could just give us a letter explaining to us what's going on.
Yeah.
They
Hours
don't need
of
to show
operation,
up. Yeah. And-
Amplified music, drinking, that kind of stuff that they do.
Okay, so I think we had a motion to continue that was, yes, that was all approved. And now, approval of the bills. Can I get a motion to approve 166? Okay, great.
Mr. Chairman. Oh, second.
Can I get approval of the 8/16/17 minutes?
Do you want to hold a vote to say, yes, we want to pay these bills, Mr. Chairman?
We just, I held the
We made a
vote.
motion in a second, but just a quick vote.
Oh, I thought, okay, can I have a vote, please, on the payment of bills? Great,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman, I make a motion I've reviewed the minutes, they appear substantially correct from 8/16. I make a motion that we approve them.
Second?
I'm going to abstain, but I'll call the vote.
Aye.
I was
Mr.
not
Chairman,
at the meeting.
inasmuch as there's no other business before the commission, I make a motion to close the meeting.
Aye.
Second, Phil seconds, everyone says aye.
Hey, AEIOU,